Hey, welcome to the December, it's hard to believe, December board meeting. Roll call, please.
Yeah. Ms. Parker? Here. Ms. Kinzer?
Here.
Ms. Hopkins? Mr. Fulbright?
Here.
Mr. Moore is present. Mr. Atkinson? Mr. Sims?
Here.
Mr. Beaver?
Here.
Mr. Howell?
Here.
Ms. Morency? Mr. Dudley?
Here.
We have 8. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'm now going to invite Mount Pleasant Elementary School to come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm also asking you during the moment of silence that you remember Leon Whitlatch, who was Riverside principal for many, many years, who passed away. What? Highland Park. Gosh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Whitney's here, and I'm thinking Riverside. It's all her fault. I'm sorry. But he was, I don't know how long he was, but I know he was. It was, forever? No. Anyway, please remember his family in our moment of silence. Let's stand. The first order of business is to adopt the agenda. I don't know if any of y'all noticed that we've switched, have you? Which means that I'm trying to decide which side my hand's going to go on here. So we're just trying to see if y'all are paying attention here. Right now, I'd like to recognize Mount Pleasant Elementary. Who's going to speak for you? Miss Jennifer Jones, who's going to tell us a little bit about. I'm way ahead. I haven't adopted the agenda.
We gotta adopt these.
I'll just wait just a minute. Hold on just a minute. See this? There's a motion to adopt the agenda. Is there a second? Second. There's a second by Mr. Howell. Motion was made by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote, or can we have a voice vote on that? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. We can vote that it's come up really quickly. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You can go on and record it if you all want to, and then we'll go on to you. So.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Jones. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Mount Pleasant Elementary. Ms. Tidwell could not be here tonight, so I am her poor substitute. The young men and women who led us in the pledge tonight are members of our peer mediator group, which is led by Mr. Andre Baker, our family resource director, and Ms. Megan Chapman, our FRC assistant. The peer mediators are a group of chosen students, chosen for their leadership abilities, and they were trained to help other students with conflict resolution. They help friends be better friends. And they can often solve problems before they turn into discipline referrals. These are skills that our students will use throughout their lives. We are very proud of them, and they are an important part of our school. Please take note of the artwork displayed tonight that was created by our students under the instruction of Miss Nicole Rich. Art is an integral part of a child's education. It provides an outlet for students to express themselves in a healthy way. We are very proud to share our students' work with you tonight. In addition to the visual arts, our students recently had the opportunity to participate in theater club. Their performance of the ugly disco duckling was amazing, and if you ever have the chance to see it, it's great entertainment. We are working hard at Mount Pleasant Elementary to provide opportunities for our students through the arts, through technology integration. Our VEX robotics team was still there working when I left today, and through student leadership. Mount Pleasant Elementary is a great school. We have amazing adults, both teachers and staff, who are dedicated to creating a culture where students can be successful. At Mount Pleasant Elementary, we say, kids come first.
Thank you.
Good job, Ms. Cody.
Next on the recognitions and announcement, I wanted you all to meet and to have Whitney Harrington. Come on up, Whitney. And I think there are other art teachers here as well. How many art teachers are in here? Look at there in support of this. That's great. The reason I wanted Whitney to come is I wanted you all to meet Whitney. I know that you've seen, and for a while there, I thought every morning I'd get up, she was on the front page of the paper, some of her artwork, and she's actually done a mural that'll now be an icon for forever, and it's gorgeous. And she's done how many other things? Name some of the things you've done here in the town.
In Columbia, I have done the mule on the Linen Duck. I painted all of the things in Buck and Board, the restaurant that's connected to the Linen Duck, the floor, the Drink It In mural. I've done the Red 7 mural that has just been done. I worked with Paul Marino, who owns that. He is a really great person, and I'm glad to say that he is my new friend. And I've done Oak and Lace work for them. I did just the Pink Porches mural. I think that companies are starting to go more towards that because we are such a technological society now, where people want to take pictures at places, and I think murals are just the next big thing instead of like a billboard or advertising. So,
well, I think we're really blessed to have really great teachers in Maury County, great art teachers as well, everybody. But I think the fact that you have put us on the map like you have, here you are, a Maury County teacher, that we are able to be very proud of what you've done, and I think that the community appreciates it as well. Thank you.
You taught me really well. Thank you very much.
I paid her to say that, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Will you turn the mic off really quick, maybe? Okay. I think it's off. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Tennessee Department of Education Behavior Supports Project. Who's going to be doing that?
I can speak. As soon as my template opens back up, moving kind of slow. So last month, the Tennessee Department of Education and the Tennessee Behavior Supports Project out of Vanderbilt recognized schools across the state that have exhibited leadership with implementation of the response to instruction and intervention for behavior supports. We were proud to realize that 7 Maury County Public Schools were honored with statewide awards. So Brown Elementary School, Howell Elementary, Mount Pleasant Elementary, and Wright Elementary have been selected as 2019-2020 schools of recognition. Riverside Elementary and Spring Hill High School have been named as model demonstration schools, and then Highland Park Elementary was designated as a gold level RTIB model of demonstration school. And for those of you on social media, if you noticed this past week, the Tennessee Behavior Supports Project shouted out Spring Hill High School to other high schools in the state of Tennessee, that if you want to learn how to implement RTIB with high school students, you need to visit Spring Hill High School. So you're going to start to see more of that over the next couple weeks as they start to highlight some of those schools that won those awards. So just wanted to throw this on here so that you guys know the great job that some of our schools are doing with regards to behavior supports for students.
Okay, that's really wonderful news. Thank you so much. Maury County Education Association.
Does it work? Oh, there we go. Okay. It shows red, which I think means is off, but apparently it means it's on. Okay. Chair Kinzer, Dr. Marzak, and esteemed board members, thank you always for allowing MCA and the teachers of Maury County the opportunity to address the board. I want to first thank you so much for addressing the needs of our fine arts teachers in our community. They have oftentimes had to fundraise just to get the bare necessities for their classrooms. I urge you to support the budget amendment that would allow them to have some additional funding for their art programs in the district, as they have offered up the opportunity to also demonstrate and exhibit their artworks from their schools. I really want to thank you for the, on behalf of the K through 12 teachers, for having those roundtable discussions regarding instructional materials, supplies, curriculum, and devices. A lot of teachers expressed it was the first time they really felt like they were actually heard. I know we've given them opportunities to say things in the past and also sent out surveys, but I think just being able to have a discussion was beneficial. On the backside of that, there were a lot of people who also really wanted to have that same kind of discussion regarding discipline in our schools. And I know there's a board item that addresses a new code of conduct. So as we look at that, or at least I saw it on my when I looked at it, I think it was 6.300 regarding the trauma-informed decisions and conduct discipline policy. We had this discussion at collaborative conferencing regarding discipline, and we had thrown that around having a meeting discussing discipline. It's an issue not just in Murray County, it's an issue throughout the United States. So just as you look through that policy, look through it with a critical eye. And I think that's about all I had. Also, we're voting on the calendar tonight, and a lot of teachers put in a lot of hours on that, and a lot of committee members did, so we hope that you make the right decision, and we appreciate your votes and also your support as for teachers in Murray County.
Thank you. I'm not sure what the right decision was. I don't think all right. Having a round table on discipline might be something we can think about, but one of the reasons we wanted to have round tables on curriculum is because we want to spend some money on it. We want to do some purchasing and try to do that. And I thought they were really very eye-opening and informative and appreciative, and hopefully it's something we can have in the future as well. So thank you. Public delegations are next, and I have David Ryder. I don't have to tell you that you have to give your name, your address, and
No, ma'am.
you know the
Yes, I know the drill. Thank you, ma'am. My name is David Ryder. I live at 2820 Canary Court in Columbia. Madam Chair, Dr. Marzak, board members. For those that don't know, my daughter does attend Spring Hill High School. She has nowhere to sit in her band class, no books, no chairs. I've been coming to these meetings for 2 years now, and I told you about the population boom 2 years ago, asked for a plan. I've asked you to do your job, the very job you've been elected to do. This is just a broken record to me. Instead of doing things, we've drug our feet for so long that you can't get textbooks and chairs into a school that is now overpopulated. You paid a company to draw up plans for what is needed at Spring Hill High School. Then you went back, removed items that you felt were not necessary or too costly. So once again, now it's been pushed back on the agenda once again to, this is my favorite, you need more information. I don't understand how much more information you need when teachers come to you and say, hey, we need textbooks, or students come to you and say, hey, we need textbooks. We need chairs to sit in a classroom. This is highly unacceptable. So, you could rezone our students to Central High School. That's an option. If you do that, though, you may lose the Title I because, as you all have heard, we're all rich in northern Murray County. So, I got a Facebook raise, didn't even know it. I tell you, there is more population boom on the way. As a union idiot, we have negotiated more jobs to Spring Hill Manufacturing. That means more people. We need a plan for Spring Hill High School. We needed it 2 years ago. I will not see any benefit of what you do. My kids will graduate. I'm here on behalf of the families that are coming. I hope that you would realize that I was right 2 years ago. Chances are, going to be right again. That's all I got.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is staff reporting. Is any staff reporting at this point? Okay. All right. Consent items.
Ms. Ginsburg? Can I
Ms.
ask-
Parker?
Can I ask one question? I know we had, with regards to the chairs, I think there were some extras that were at Battle Creek that were that we were gonna look at potentially being moved over. Do we know whether or not that process was done?
Sorry about that. Before Mr. Breeden left, he worked out with the administration at Spring Hill High School exactly what they needed, and they had a plan together. His email was deactivated, and it's not there. So I have asked the principal at Spring Hill High School a couple of times. I asked her again, Dr. Marzak and I spoke early this week, can you forward me the email where he said this is what's coming from Battle Creek, this is what's coming from Spring Hill High School. She's yet to do that. She said she will. I will reach back out to her. We can move it. We just need to know what we're moving and where we're taking it from. Because we're doing it internally, we need to know how many come from what school in case we have to send it back. So I'll reach out for her to get that information again.
Was there not, where was your lie down? Was there another lie down? Okay, all right, thank you. Consent items. Is there a motion to accept? Motion to approve by Mr. Moore. Is there a second? Second. Second by Ms. Parker. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out one thing, based on the discussions we had, and this is for the art item, the 7.6. I know the rationale had it split up, and the discussion at the work session was such that it was certain dollar amounts for the schools. However, as we continue that discussion, I wanted to reiterate that the motion itself is simply for the sum total amount to be distributed as the departments and as central office deems necessary for that. And I would also like to echo from that discussion that I do hope this comes up as a budget item for actual budget usage in the next fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Marzak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back together the teachers along with Ms. Enck. They came and spoke with me, and then we'll work through the process to make sure it's equitable to teachers in the district.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Beaver?
Yeah, I'd like to, got a question too about the 7.4, the budget amendment on, adjusting the, principal's salary. And from the way I read this, there's, 3 years that this lady hasn't been getting paid correctly. How does something like this happen?
Upon research of this person's salary, this employee's salary, it was found that when she was originally hired, the incorrect amount of experience was entered on her employee profile that runs into payroll. So that was not fixed or found until recently, and so we have already corrected for this year. This year is correct. This is to retrospectively correct for since her date of hire.
Okay. All right, so we have taken steps to make sure that this doesn't happen again, correct? Or try to make sure it doesn't happen.
If people, contact us and they think that their experience is incorrect and they can prove that they've been here with Murray County Public Schools, all we can do is take steps now to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen going forward. Mr. Lindsay with the HR department and I are working together very closely. We worked together on this particular matter with the employee, and I think that we've reached a good resolution on it. It's an unexpected expense, which nobody likes, but it's the right thing to do.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Are there any other pending things like this, Doug, or any others that were errors?
It's hard to tell, because you have to go in, what you would do is go through every single employee.
Somebody has to come tell you.
And they'd have to say, hey, I think my hire date's wrong, or I think I looked at my experience and I see 14 years of experience, but my hire date shows I've been here 16 years as a full-time employee. Why am I not in this category? And if so, previously, is my pay off? And can you calculate that for me? And what should my pay have been? So.
We've also asked employees recently to come forward if you have any issues with your pay, with the goal of trying to address this proactively all together instead of in a piecemeal fashion. So hopefully we can get all this corrected before the new year and go into the new year with everything correct. That is the goal.
Thank you, that's good. Will you turn this off? We can hear ourselves. All right, any other discussion? Then the motion is on the consent items, and we're ready to vote. Yes. That motion does pass. All right, then under new business, under finance, we have budget amendments. I think we talked about, maybe there's one on there that do you want to address that?
I'd be happy to. The one with Columbia, the 1 year of advertising for the signage, that was something that we saw on the agenda for tonight, that if you did want to proceed with it, it was going to need a budget amendment. So we just built one up pending. So this is something that can continue or be postponed. In the future, Schiffer and I talked about this. If there's something that comes here that was not put under consent as a budget amendment at the work session, we can put pending on the budget amendment going forward. Do you think that would be helpful?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Is that all right? Ms. Parker?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I remember Stan having some of these, and he would put it with the item. So if it was under new business, it would just come under like 8.2 here and be attached with the motion. So we can approve the motion and the budget amendment at the same time.
All at once?
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but I think it would maybe cause less confusion if it's not all lumped into ones that we anticipate being approved.
I think the reason we changed our meeting time was to be able to get these to the commission in a timely manner. So, even though they don't always pass them, but, hopefully that will change. We'll see. Anything else on the budget amendment?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Beaver.
Yeah. Are we gonna vote on this as a whole, or do we need to pull 9058 out?
We don't have a motion yet.
There's no motion.
Oh, I thought we had a motion.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion.
All right, let's hear it.
I make a motion for, 8.1 budget amendments,
Pending approval.
pending approval. Okay.
All right, is there a second, Ms. Parker?
I'd rather just, I guess I'm not gonna second, I'd rather just approve all of them except for budget amendment 9058.
I agree with Ms. Parker.
Then is that a second if we pull that one? Yes.
I just need clarification on the one for the art teacher, so you all just want to put the bulk amount of money in the supplies line item and not break it down per school?
Right.
Is that correct? Okay, 'cause I have the spreadsheet attached in there, so I'm gonna remove that when we enter it in the software. Perfect, thank you.
That's the way the attachment, the motion was in the consent, that it was, that was a suggestion to bring.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I just did that spreadsheet, so I'll just take it out of there. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back here. The motion is to, accept all but 9058. We have a second. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote. Ms. Parker? Okay, that motion does pass. And did you get Tommy's vote? Okay. And guess what? The next thing on the agenda is a digital billing advertisement.
Ms. Kinzer, if I could just go ahead and make a motion for that, for 8.2 with the accompanying budget amendment 9058.
To accept it. Okay. There's a motion to accept. Is there a second? Then we with no second, then we'll just move on. Next on the agenda is the time and attendance system. Mr. Conan made the presentation at the work session. We kind of knew that we've seen the presentation, and he has recently given us the cost of it. So if you have anything to say about that.
I do. First, I haven't gotten to talk about my attire this evening.
I was congratulating you, and you thought I was fussing, and
I was an MC for our county Christmas party today, and I left my shirt in my office that I was supposed to change into. Anyways, please forgive me. This.
I don't think you need to.
We left, and I was like, I think I'm forgetting something, and it was my shirt. I had my jacket on. I totally forgot. But the costs have been sent out. Something that I factored into the price is ReadySub is built into that price as well. So that is something the county obviously does not utilize. We do not utilize a sub-tracking system because we don't have subs. So that is also included in that comparison of cost that was emailed out yesterday. I don't really have a whole lot on this. I have been working with Scott Lindsay on this program closely. He is getting a new employee December 9th that will specifically be working on onboarding processes, and which I think has been a source of a lot of our problems. If we can get somebody onboarded correctly, that employee that we're paying tonight, if it was originally onboarded correctly, we wouldn't be here. So I think that this is a move in the right direction to please approve this budget amendment. I've researched this extensively. Multiple people have been involved in the vetting out process, Dr. Marzak, Dr. Woodard, Mr. Lindsay, Mr. Perriman. I think it's the right move to get us on the right track for our department and the HR department to work together and help the district with time off and with onboarding.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Howell?
We have a motion on that.
Okay, first we got, Mr. Moore's made the motion to accept as
Well,
presented.
hadn't yet, but I will.
What is that, the motion? What
Yes,
did you-
ma'am, I'll make
Okay.
a motion to accept this.
Is there a second? Ms. Parker seconds the motion. Mr. Howell?
So, to start this immediately, we'd be pulling $137,000 out of fund balance.
That is correct. We would actually make payments monthly, though, so we wouldn't be paying it all at once. We wouldn't create any liquidity issues. However, there's also a non-appropriation clause every year. Let's say we're in budget crunch and we've implemented and we've trained this, but the school board decides that we need something else more than we need an onboarding system. Due to the non-appropriation clause, if we don't budget for the system, then they would stop and we would stop and we would move on without the expense.
I guess really my concern is we're going to start midway through a year into an unbudgeted item and pull from our savings account to do that. Could we not just start this with our new budget, have it built into the budget?
That is true. Something that I'm very cautious about is when we implement new things and new softwares. The reason I even brought it here tonight and got the information to you, because I wanted to get this implemented in a timely manner. That's why it's here tonight. And so a lot of the work, it's going to take about 100 to 120 days to stand the product up. And then we need to train 1,700 people in how they would use the product. And that training, I want it to happen this semester so that when we kick it off in the fall of 2020, everybody knows what's going on, and it's not a mad rush, and we don't create a lot of mistakes or a lot of growing pains. We'll have some of those anyways, but starting it now would reduce the failure rate, and it would increase the success rate of implementing the software.
I like that, but I don't like is when we had a discussion on what we were going to do with our unexpended fund balance, you never mentioned this at all. And that's kind of my trepidation is, we've got things that we do want to spend our fund balance on. I'm not saying this isn't a worthy cause. I'm really not. All I'm saying is, so what if we spend $137,000 and then we can't get that from the county commission going forward? Then we've just spent $137,000 for nothing. That's kind of my concern.
Yeah, I can understand your concern. I wish I could help with that. I'm not a voting member of the commission. I'm just going to do my best to bring what I think we need to do. I understand that I did not bring it up. Something I did bring up, though, is that I think these employees need their time correct, and I think that these employees needed their leave balances correct, and that before we started talking about raises, I had mentioned, wouldn't it be nice if they could just come in and not worry about those things? It was a way of me kind of saying it without saying, this is the product we're going to use, this is how much it's going to cost, because I didn't know how much it was going to cost at the time, but I knew that it was a need, but I didn't have the details ready, Mr. Howe.
I personally think it's money that will be well spent if we can make sure that our employees leave time, that when they come in, it's all entered in the correct way, that you can do all this. It hasn't been done in the past, and it's caused us so much problem and probably some expense as well, that if things are done in a timely manner too. So I do support doing this as soon as possible so that everybody can be trained, know how to use it, and that we don't have any of these issues starting the first of the year, new year. Any other discussion? Mr. Fulbright.
Doug, I want to just clarify something. Mr. Laconin, I just want to clarify something based off some of the previous comments. The county commission, they would only need to vote on this individually, the appropriations for this one time, and it would be for this budget amendment, because if we include it in the budget going forward, it would be a part of the whole overall budget, and it wouldn't be a budget amendment year after year, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Seeing no other lights, excuse me, Mr. Howell.
Just real quick, what's the difference in price between what we're currently using and this? Is there a huge difference?
Yes, there's a huge difference because we currently have paper timesheets. We can, if we did a cost analysis of error rate in paper, that was done on the county, and it was a colossal change, but it was also a colossal savings, and it was a more accurate way to track time off, which saved us money because vacation hours is money, sick time ends up being money, retirement is money. Overall, the system is going to be economically beneficial. Something that, I'm sorry, I'm not sure that I've answered your question, is that we do have current systems. We have a sub-tracking system, and that's its main function. So SmartFind eSchools does what ReadySub does. ReadySub is actually cheaper than SmartFind eSchools on a yearly basis, and it does the same thing. SmartFind also works with Kronos. We could have stayed with them, but this was more cost-effective, and I liked the program better, and I was able to run reports that I couldn't run in eSchools. So I found a benefit there. But Kronos is, because we don't have anything that does what Kronos does right now. So there's no real replacement cost because it is something we don't have.
Thank you.
Yep.
I see no other lights, so we're ready to vote. Mr. Moore and Ms. Parker second. can't see everybody.
Can you scroll down, please?
That motion does pass. Next, zoning facilities, is there any report on that? I don't see anything, okay. Next is policy. Nope, nothing on policy. What was the attachment you were referring to a while ago? It's down further, isn't it? Okay. Calendar options. We had this discussion at the, and Dr. Woodard has brought the third option as well. So you've got 3 options. Is there a discussion or a motion, or Ms. Parker?
I just want to make a motion to approve option 3.
All right, the motion has been made to approve option 3. Mr. Weaver seconds. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote. That motion does pass, and I want to thank the calendar committee, Dr. Woodard. I see some are here tonight. I know this has been a really busy, difficult, trying to make it all fit together, and we appreciate the work that you've done. Hope parents will see it and be glad to know how they'll know what to do the next year and how it's going to make their plans accordingly, right? All right, moving on. There are no instructional bids over 10,000. There is an LEA compliance form.
To be voted on.
Yeah, I hear a motion by Mr. Moore. Is there a second? Mr. Fulbright seconds the motion. Is there any discussion?
One question.
All right, Ms. Parker?
Sorry. On this form, I know it says that we're in compliance with state laws, state regs, that kind of thing. But I know we got something from TSBA recently where they went through our policy manual and said that we weren't in compliance with certain state laws and certain regs, and they had recommendations. Is there anything that we're approving in this compliance form that is saying that we're following all the laws that they just said that we were out of compliance with?
No, we're talking a little bit difference between Tennessee Department of Education, State Board of Ed, Tennessee Code Annotated. We're okay. The key thing is not necessarily.
Which one are we saying for?
So according to the LEA compliance form, they're asking for things such as you're meeting classroom requirements, you're meeting certain requirements for funding as far as how you're budgeting your money. Those are the kinds of things that they're asking about. Policies, as policies are changed and they're kind of moved around, and enacting those policies is not really part of the LEA compliance form as far as the Tennessee Department of Education is concerned. They're more or less looking at some of those other areas as are denoted on the form, not necessarily your policies.
Okay. I thought I saw when I was going through the form, which is kind of hard to read because sometimes you had to flip it and all that kind of stuff. But it looked like there were some references to policies. So as long as council and Dr. Marzak feel confident that we're not saying that we're doing something that we know we're out of compliance with, I'm happy to approve.
I hate this form personally. I mean, you've got how many schools and how many employees. We came across a statute that had been amended on bus videos that still the policy hadn't come through from TSBA, and we're behind on. So I don't know how they can ever expect you to say that as a board at any snapshot moment in time that you're fully compliant with all state laws, regs, and everything else that changes daily. But as far as I know, you're in compliance. I mean, that's the best I can tell you. I have not seen that form. I know that they do go through periodically and do that for us, but no, I have not seen that form lately.
Dr. Marzak?
Okay, so where we are compliant, we're compliant with the length of school day for students, teacher assignments, salaries and licensure for all licensed personnel, class sizes for grades K through 12, planning time, duty-free lunch, summer schools, student evaluation, admission and enrollment of students, and students transferring from one school to another. We're compliant with all of those state board rules. We're also compliant, we don't have public virtual schools at this point, but we are compliant with how we do records and reports, how we do school fees, withholding of student grades for debts owed to the school. We're compliant with school board and district improvement planning, and we're also compliant with multi-hazard emergency operations plans. We're compliant with implementation of academic standards, experimental projects and special courses in grading and promotion. We're in compliance with graduation requirements, testing for credit, work-based learning experiences. We're compliant with enrollment in college-level courses. We currently don't have a high-set program, so that's not applicable. We're compliant with our school library information center, library information center personnel, and then the collection. We're also compliant local Board of Education standards and policies in line with attendance, guidance, psychological services, social work services, and school health services. That's under the special ed umbrella. We're also under school health compliant with written policy requiring a physical examination for every child entering school for the first time. We're compliant with written policies requiring a physical examination for every student participating in interscholastic athletics. We're also compliant with written policies for excluding pupils with communicable diseases and for readmitting them following recovery. We're compliant for having a written policy for handling drug and alcohol problems. We are compliant for procedures for reporting suspected cases of child abuse. And we are also compliant with the requirement for each new employee to present a physician's certificate showing a satisfactory health record and inclusion of HIV-related illness and AIDS provisions. We're also compliant with our special education program, as well as complying with waivers. So those are the things that they wanted us to make sure that we're in compliance with, and we are.
Any other discussion? Then we're ready to vote. And that motion does pass. I have another question, Mr. Lacone and Doug. We passed the software, has to be a budget amendment, but none of these budget amendments will be taken up until the mid-January because that's when budget meets. So you can bring it back to us at the January meeting, right?
So the commission has canceled all committee meetings for this month,
Right.
but the full commission meeting is still happening. And so anything that you all have approved tonight is being voted on in December. But the ones that were turned back, the motion was to have a representative from the school board and Dr. Marzak go to the budget committee meeting. And so, since the newest budget committee meeting is in January.
I understand that, but I'm just questioning, because the software will be coming out of fund balance.
That's correct. So it'll go to the commission this month.
So it will go to the commission, we don't have to go to budget committee.
No, ma'am.
Why don't we run those other ones in real quick and just...
Because I've got a resolution telling me that I can't.
I know, okay.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Just checking.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Is there any other business to come before this board? Motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All right, thank you.
Sign here, please.
And let's talk with Doug about the budget business here, too. He came up and talked just a minute before we leave here.
We also need to set a time to talk about the December work session.
Yes, we do.
Chair signature.
All of them are on here. Doug, can he generally